Welcome, once again, to the Isle of the Draconic, a sanctuary for both dangerous and endangered dragons. My name is Drakondoltagon, and I will be your guide today as we look and discuss over these various dragons. As we have done twice prior, today we will be looking over dragons that are native to the kingdom of Pixar. The first of these dragons is the Pentaemoting Hydra. This Hydra, as is expected from a Hydra, has multiple heads. This particular species of Hydra has 5 heads, each of which has its own various color and, more importantly, emotion. Strangely, similar to the entangled ribbon beast, which I discussed a few weeks prior, each of the heads appears to be consistently feeling a different emotion. The yellow head is constantly happy, with a sharp-toothed, somewhat eerie grin across its face at all times. The purple head is constantly feeling scared, often curled up in fear or hiding behind the yellow head. It is also often antagonized by the red head, which is constantly feeling angry. This red head is also constantly on fire, and even more so when it's furious. The green head's emotion was harder to figure out, but we have it labeled as disgust, as it often has its tongue out and often refuses to eat food that it doesn't like. The final head is blue and is constantly feeling sad, often being dragged along the ground, obsessing over the weight of life's problems. As unique of a dragon as this seems, we have recently found a variant of this species. This species only has 4 heads and has entirely different colors, being orange, pink, teal, and indigo. This variant seems to have a rivalry with the Pentaemoting Hydra, and it will be interesting to see where this goes. Now, let's move on to a slightly less strange-looking dragon. As one could expect, in a world filled with dangerous dragons and beasts, many forms of sports have appeared that involve them. The most popular of these is dragon fighting tournaments, such as the Ultimate Smash tournament. However, a close second is dragon racing. In this sport, tamers find dragons and have to work to train and tame them before using them as mounts to race. Such a feat easily leads one to achieving fame and glory, but none are as renowned as Sir Owen McQueen, riding atop his Royal Lightning Bolt. The Royal Lightning Bolt is a red wyvern, and is one of the fastest dragons in the world. As one could guess by the name, it also has the ability to project electricity, which can often be seen crackling off its scales as it flies through the air. But possibly more interesting than the dragon itself is the story of how it met McQueen. Before starting his racing career, McQueen was a mighty warrior who had, unfortunately, gone down a few wrong paths in life. One of these paths led him to try and fight a dragon over a small town in the middle of the desert. This small town was practically destroyed in the midst of their battles, and this led to McQueen being arrested. However, instead of being imprisoned, he was given a job. From now on, in addition to fixing all the damage he destroyed, he had to defend the small town from any dragon attacks. He did this job for a few months, before a certain dragon wandered into the town, a Royal Lightning Bolt. Instead of trying to kill it, he instead decided to train it, knowing of the dragon's great speed. After his sentence was up, and his dragon ally was tamed, McQueen and his Royal Lightning Bolt would go on to become champions and legends in the world of dragon racing. This next dragon's history is quite complicated. As you should know by now, in my world, there are beings known as monster morphs. These are humans born with the inherent ability to transform into a magical creature, such as myself, but are often ostracized and persecuted for this ability. That being said, there was a time, long ago, where monster morphs were revered as mighty warriors who protected the people from threats, both human and monstrous. One of these monster morphs was called Sir Incredible, Sir Incredible was a monster morph who could transform into a mighty red dragon, stronger than any other dragon known to man. He was well beloved by the people, having many active fans and followers. However, one of these fans went a bit too far. A young mage named Buddius Pine had always wanted to be a squire to Sir Incredible. However, Sir Incredible refused, partially because the boy wasn't a monster morph, and was more liable to be seriously injured. However, Buddius would remember this rejection, and, years later, after the time of monster morphs had passed, enacted an evil scheme. Using a set of spells that have been lost to time, he managed to perfectly replicate the power of a monster morph, gaining the ability to transform into a white and black dragon with orange spikes and blue wings. His draconic form also had a unique form of projectile attack. The beam that shot from his mouth didn't destroy the things it hit, but surrounded them in a field and grabbed them, allowing Buddius to move them even from a great distance. But this was simply a stepping stone in his overall plan. Using dark magic, Buddius summoned a large, kraken-like creature that he planned to use to attack a prominent kingdom, before he himself, in his dragon form, would kill it. He planned on having the world praise him as a hero, and then, when he was old and retired, he would sell his spells, and therefore monster morph abilities, to the highest bidder. Ultimately, though, his plan was stopped by Sir Incredible and his family, and the imposter syndrome dragon had been imprisoned in this island ever since. The last dragon we will discuss today is probably one of the weirdest ones I've come across, which is saying quite a lot. The Lux Wyvern is a medium-sized grey wyvern. Let us get the obvious out of the way. The most odd part about this creature is its head. The creature has a large mouth, which is constantly open, with a yellow flame always visible inside. This creature, despite its strange appearance, served as a sort of mascot for the kingdom, and was a personal mount for the king of Pixar. Everything was all well and good, until it wasn't. The Lux Wyverns soon had offspring, a son who was much more destructive than his father. The king of Pixar let the dragon roam free around the kingdom, thinking that it would be calm like its father. But this was a mistake. Not only did the younger Lux Wyvern have a habit of jumping on buildings, slowly crushing them, it also had a habit of playing with boulders that it found, rolling them around and often accidentally rolling the boulder into a building or two, destroying them. Eventually, the dragon keepers were called in to deal with the situation. They didn't want to see the dragon killed, due to the species being both endangered and the mascot of the kingdom, but also couldn't keep it within the city walls. So it's been living here, on the Isle of the Draconic, for the past 2 decades. We have, fortunately, found that the dragon has matured with age, and is much less destructive now. We have offered to return the dragon to the kingdom of Pixar, but as it turns out, it has been taken over by the empire of Disney a few decades ago. Well then, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for coming to the Isle of the Draconic, and I hope you will return soon.